You know, if there's one thing I've learned, that's if you're going to change anything, anything at all, the side you were on has to be united. We all have to be singing off the same song sheet. No egos. And if there is any disagreements, deal with them very quickly. Don't let them blow you apart. Something the left are very good at. They always seem to stick together and achieve their ends. But when the right and all the big egos seem to have a problem, it can become something quite huge. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're well. Now, I'm referring to, well, the kicking, really, the right of politics has had over the last few days, over the whole issue of Tommy Robinson and his relationship with reform, or lack thereof, for the better part. If you have a look at what's happened with the mainstream media, they have jumped on the Tommy Robinson bandwagon, and every time a member of reform, be it Nigel Farage, Richard Tice, and even Lee Anderson, have gone on and said what they've wanted to say, they've really stuck the boot in, by the way. It's come across as a complete disaster. Social commentators on here, such as Paul Thorpe, have rightly so had a thing or two to say about it. People on the right who support Tommy and support reform, or one or the other, can't quite believe what's going on. And it's been a complete disaster. Now, I did a video, and here's the thumbnail for it. And you can see that it's the three of them with a bandage over their mouth. Now, the long and short of it is, I think that's exactly what should have happened. When asked about Tommy Robinson, they should have withdrawn and they should have said, never met the guy, I couldn't make any accurate comment, therefore I'm not going to. Although what is happening to him is wrong, which of course it is. It's very wrong. He shouldn't be there. That's a very simple fact. Just for a bit of fun, I typed in and put a little something together, and I basically asked, what does Nigel Farage have to do to save it? Listen to this. Nigel Farage faces a delicate balance in addressing the support base of Tommy Robinson while maintaining the broader appeal of Reform UK. Here's how he might navigate it. Acknowledging concerns. Farage could start by acknowledging the concerns of those who support Robinson, particularly on issues like freedom of speech, law enforcement, and cultural identity. He might say something like, I understand the frustrations felt by many regarding freedom of speech and the perceived erosion of British culture. These are legitimate concerns that we must address. Bloody right they are. Distancing himself from controversy. While acknowledging the issues, Farage needs to distance himself from the more controversial actions and rhetoric surrounding Tommy Robinson. He could say, however, Reform UK is a political party focused on governance and policy, not on individual personalities or actions that distract from our mission to reform the UK. We aim to tackle these issues through policy, not through the courts of street activism. I mean, somebody made a very relevant comment that Tommy has his way of doing things and Reform has theirs, which I think is what that says. Farage could shift the conversation to policy solutions, emphasising how Reform UK plans to address these problems. Our policies will focus on protecting free speech within the law, ensuring robust immigration control, and promoting British values while respecting all law-abiding citizens. We will push for a full public inquiry into issues like child exploitation, which has been a focal point for many. They could appeal to the broader electorate to avoid alienating them. He could have emphasised inclusivity within a framework of legal and cultural reform. Reform UK stands for all UK citizens who feel their voice isn't being heard. And then he could finish by clarifying the stance on Tommy Robinson, and he could say, he has his platform and his supporters. While I appreciate the passion, Reform UK has a different approach. We will not be distracted from our goal to lead this country with policies that unite and serve all Britons. By following this approach, Farage could potentially satisfy those who admire Robinson's outspokenness on certain issues while keeping Reform UK's image broad enough to attract a wider electorate. This strategy involves a careful acknowledgement of the issues at the heart of Robinson's support base, coupled with a clear delineation between Reform UK's strategy and Robinson's more confrontational methods. Now, reading that back a few times and analysing it, it's the best of both worlds. It says, you know, Tommy is in a very, very wrong, difficult position. We acknowledge what he has done, what he has exposed, but we are doing this in a different way. Now, when you read that as well, it sounds very much like the thing that Rupert Lowe came out and said, a very excellent statement, which says exactly that, acknowledges Tommy Robinson and the contributions he's made, and then gone on to mention Reform. It's all in the press, it's all in the messaging, and they fucked it up completely. There's no getting away from it. They really have. And what's happening is the right are now squabbling, bitching and wobbling amongst each other. And all it's going to do is set the cause of breaking the current system we have back by a number of years if we're not careful. As I've said in a previous video, if Reform ends up not the answer, then, only then, we look at alternatives there may be. But what I wanted to do for about 5 minutes or so with this video is just go through some of your comments from where I mentioned the press disaster. Okay, Dimension 137. Elon Musk should be arrested for intervening with government affairs. I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly. He's a private citizen. Yes, he has a lot of money, and he's free to make comments. You know, anybody is free to make comments. Now, if you look at the situation with Labour and the elections in America, they were going to send a load of Labour advisors over there to stick their oar in, interfere and meddle with an American election. That is election interference and interference with politics. You can't have it both ways. But I'll give you this. It is a big, interesting, messy subject. It's just Molly. I'm glad Reform voiced their opinion on Tommy Robinson. He speaks for the working class. Reform definitely do not. They showed their true colours. Thumbs down for Reform. I think your comment, and rightly so, he does speak for the working class. If you look at some of the rallies that there's literally thousands of people. Those are the thousands of people that unite, that want to see this country changed. And it's been a disaster, well and truly. It should have been handled ever so differently. And that's why you make the comment you do. Phil Dalton, Reform needs to get rid of Tice. He needs to shut up, basically. I'm with you. It's just Molly, another thumbs down. Phil Dalton, Tice has kicked Reform in the bollocks. The problem is he speaks, and I don't think he really, at the time, realises the consequences of what comes out of his mouth, or I don't think he gives a shit. Somebody's just given a tweet from Elon Musk, Gavin Leonard, and this is dated 27th of April 2022. For Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral, which effectively means upsetting the far right and the far left equally. It's very true. I mean, if you have a look at one of the other tweets that he's done over the last couple of days, he's also criticised Starmer as well. So, you know, for a bit of clarity there. Jeffrey Daniels, given Robinson's popularity, why would these guys from Reform badmouth him at this important juncture in the political landscape? Why say anything at all? I'm a Nigel Farage fan, but wow, this was a serious strategic miscalculation. I completely agree with you. Reform could have had these voters locked in. Pure public relations idiocy. You have some momentum and then you go and blow it with something like this. Absolutely. Now, they've not only disparaged him, they've not only well, bad-mouthed him. They've kicked him repeatedly when he's down. And look how that feels. Look how that comes across. It is not a good show at all. Now, like I said in an earlier video, if you've got nothing better to say, don't say anything at all, surely. Maybe they need to think about that. Or at least, as I said at the beginning of this video, acknowledge Tommy's contributions. Acknowledge that the situation he's in is crap. It is. He shouldn't be there for, what he's done. Shouldn't be there. But to well and truly eviscerate him and then give the mainstream media everything they want on a plate further, nah, not good. Not good. Sparkly Pegs, and yet another man of a certain persuasion was just sentenced to a mere 3 years. Jesus, for the GR of a 12-year-old child. I'm saying GR just in case, although I know people have said it. Pyrrha Reid, well, I don't trust reform, not anymore, sorry, but good luck to you all. There is a part of all of this where people wonder whether they are controlled opposition. They're saying and doing all of this to, piss people off in a calculated way, and then we end up in another situation, i.e., another place. Could be. But, you look at Nigel's past with UKIP and all this sort of thing. I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, and see what happens and hope that it comes good. But as I said, if it doesn't, then alternatives will have to be looked at. Quite what those are, I don't know. El Presidente, never heard such a load of bollocks in all my life. The question I have, are they clean ones? That's what I think. Free speech, etc. Blah-de-bah, fucking blah. Fair enough. Thank you for your input. Shona Giffen, Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe for reform leadership. Farage and Tice, self-serving opportunists. Now, I've seen Ben Habib come in for a bit of criticism where he's making certain comments on certain posts. And I witnessed this myself as well. And I'm thinking, do you really want to go there? Really? Rupert Lowe is excellent. He really is. He's turning into my favourite politician. But if you look at the Tice and Farage dynamic, if Tice was still leader of reform at the general election, they wouldn't have one MP, let alone 5. So it's the Farage effect that has got them to where they are. That being said, they really need to look at their press. They really need to look at what they're saying, because if they don't, they're going to ruin it all, because there are so many influencers out there that can destroy their image and their reputation like that. Everyone's got to calm down. Everyone's got to think what we really want and where this is going. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Melevin Evans, reform got how many votes from TR supporters? Tyson Farage shouldn't get to gate happy, then votes can easily disappear. That's what will happen if we don't get our shit together. And then where we'll be back to square one. We've got to learn to deal with this. Take a calmer approach. Benatia Moon, Tice said all I need to know about reform. Farage can't be trusted all the way from when he was in UKIP. Looks after himself. He keeps a distance from the so-called right wing, which includes TR. He wants a conservative vote because that's what reform are, and he knows that they have the most votes as they had until we kicked the Tories out. The Tory voters are still there to be grabbed, and Farage and Tice know it. These two are not doing the right thing about those girls, and I'm glad Elon is seeing through their bull. I mean, this is one of the things that Tommy's done, isn't it? Brought this to the fore, and it's very much coming to the fore now and being spoken about. And the man that should be commended for that is currently languishing inside for reasons he shouldn't be there for. It's despicable. Derek, nothing but contempt for the working class. Okay. Michael Powell, George Cotterill, a convicted criminal, funded a trip to Brussels for Farage, £9,000 plus, 9 months in jail for money laundering offences. Does this have anything to do with Farage's bank closing his account, money laundering? Who knows? Who knows? I mean, that debanking thing was a very big episode, wasn't it? I know people that have been debanked for reasons that are ridiculous, but who knows? Never know the truth of anything, do we? Phil Easterbrook, only idiots in this country do not want reform. And having said that, if the leaders of reform do not pay attention to the general public's views about Tommy, then it will be more difficult to win convincingly. And with a decent majority to be able to make a real difference. Also, we the voters do not want a reform party that is stuffed full with ex-conservative arse-lickers. Yeah, well, what worries me, and I can see where you're coming from, particularly with the end of that comment, Phil. I agree with you. I don't want to see a reform party stuffed full of ex-conservatives because at the end of the day, reform must mean reform. You know, Nigel, by his own admission, is an ex-conservative. Lee Anderson, he's been across 3 parties now, Labour, Tories, now Reform. Richard Tice was involved with the Conservatives. But, you know, the rank and file, the Noel Wilcoxes, that kind of thing, normal everyday businessmen, regular people, Howard Cox coming in. These are the people that should be in a party like that. People that know what's going on in the big wide world and not some Oxford graduate who's never seen a real day's work in their life. It's, yeah. SJ, I'm interested in what Tommy has to say. So is Elon. Everybody is. I mean, did you hear that call from prison? I listened to it the other day, and it really is. He shouldn't be there. It's awful. Pam Hunt, watch Katie Hopkins' latest news. Makes sense. I'll check that out. I watch her quite regularly. I love Katie Hopkins. I think she's brilliant. But I will watch that latest one. I've had a bit of stuff going on the last couple of days and not been able to do everything. Pauline Taylor, contempt of court does not warrant being imprisoned. Correct. Anyone else, it'd be a fine and a slap on the wrists. For in a prison for people who have committed vile acts of. So why have judges picked on Tommy? Mr. Starmer obviously gave the order, and as such is abusing the legal system. Isn't it about time that you, Labour MPs, put into writing their no confidence votes? Enough of them are leaving, so why not make a statement? Absolutely. You know, you've all got very similar comments, very similar views there, and it really is a big mess. At the heart of this is the fact that Nigel can't shut up. Richard Tice can't shut up. If they're going to say something, it's got to be completely different to what they have been saying, or just shut up. You know, otherwise it's all going to go horribly wrong. And none of us have the time or the patience to put up with more of that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you, everyone, for subscribing to the channel. 121,000 subscribers now, and we're really growing. I thank you ever so much for that. Make sure you hit the like button on this. I'll try and do more comment readback videos because, you know, I really enjoy reading what you have to say and getting it out there. And it's what's part of what makes this community great. So thank you. As always, I look forward to talking.